Happy Friday evening, everyone. I'm Riley King, and welcome to this Friday evening edition of the Riley King Newscast, right here on the Riley King Network. We have a lot of news to get to this Friday evening, so let's begin. First step, New York City Mayor pledges fully reopening by July 1st. Let's take a listen to that video from NBC News.
Fleece Fights, only at Old Navy and OldNavy.com.
This is going to be the summer of New York City.
This morning, New York City eyeing a rebound July 1st, lifting restrictions and planning to fully reopen for the first time in more than a year.
We are ready for stores to open, for businesses to open, offices, theaters, full strength.
With fewer infections and now more than 6 million vaccinations, the one-time epicenter of the pandemic is keeping COVID under control.
Now we can see that light at the end of the tunnel.
Governor Andrew Cuomo said while making projections was irresponsible, he's optimistic.
I think if we do what we have to do, we can be reopened earlier.
In California, which has recovered from a deadly surge just months ago, Disneyland will reopen to visitors today after an unprecedented 13-month closure. The world-famous theme park will operate at a limited capacity and allow only in-state visitors. In Michigan, reopening the state depends on what the governor called a back to normal challenge, tied to meeting vaccination goals.
And eventually, we'll get over that finish line.
But Oregon is still deep in its fourth surge. Hospitalizations have nearly doubled in the last 2 weeks, and 15 counties are now moving back to extreme risk, meaning no indoor dining and other restrictions.
Business was picking up, and just like last time, then we get shut down. It takes the wind out of the sails.
And back here in New York, when it comes to that July 1st target date, it's still unclear what types of COVID protocols will still be in effect, like wearing masks indoors. We do know that Broadway is set to reopen in September.
Okay.
Hey, thanks for watching our YouTube channel.
There you go on that video and that report. U.S.-Russian tension mount after military activity at Ukraine border. Let's take a listen to that video from NBC News.
On the northern Sea of Azov, between Russia and Ukraine, Ukraine doesn't have much of a Navy or Coast Guard left. Russia seized most of its floating force 7 years ago when Vladimir Putin annexed Crimea from Ukraine and took the naval bases that were there. The ships Ukraine has left are now looking out for Russian forces approaching again. On land, high alert too. We joined the Ukrainian army to see its defenses.
So this is the front line up here? God.
As we got closer, Lieutenant Rostislav showed us the trenches. They run for miles, like a World War I battlefield. At the end is a lookout post. In the distance, they say are Russian and Russian-backed Ukrainian troops.
They're in the tree line by those windmills.
Earlier this month, Vladimir Putin deployed up to 120,000 troops near here. Russia said it was a military exercise. Ukrainian officials believe Putin may be preparing an invasion and wanted to test if President Biden would tolerate it. But President Biden pushed back.
I strongly urge him to refrain from any military action.
Last week, Russia withdrew most of its forces. Ukrainian officials warned Russian forces could return without warning. So they're now at the ready on 8-month deployments down in the trenches, hoping President Biden can deter Putin from attacking.
Russia took Crimea from Ukraine while Biden was vice president.
And it seems now the Biden administration is signaling to Russia that it will not accept more moves on this country. Secretary of State Blinken is due to arrive in Ukraine next week. Yet another sign of U.S. support.
Hey, thanks for watching our YouTube.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Cruise industry prepare to set sail in July with new CDC guidelines. Let's take a listen to that video from NBC News.
After more than a year of turbulent waters, the cruise ship industry is ready for some smooth sailing ahead.
This is the first glimmer of light that we've seen to allow us to move forward and work out the final steps to be able to set sail.
Since last March, the CDC banning voyages from U.S. ports because of COVID. Now, in a letter to industry executives, the CDC is setting new standards that may allow ships to sail again as early as mid-July.
It's been 14 months that this industry has been shut down. 14 million passengers, American passengers per year, have not had a chance to sail. The economic impact is massive.
Most of the major cruise lines have been sailing, but from Europe, Asia, and the Caribbean. It was not like that before the pandemic.
Nearly 60% of all cruising originates from U.S. ports, and nearly half of the people who are cruising are Americans.
For months, the cruise line industry has been working on its own safety protocols, many of which align with the CDC's blueprint. The CDC now advising cruise lines they can skip simulated test cruises if 98% of crew and 95% of passengers are vaccinated.
We're really very pleased and very excited because it really does set forth a pathway that we think is achievable, practical, and safe. So, yeah, we're feeling pretty good.
I myself couldn't be happier.
Michelle Allen is an avid cruiser who in 30 years as a travel agent has booked tens of thousands of vacations at sea.
People love to cruise, and I think, hopefully a year from now, we will, be looking back and we'll be full steam ahead.
So, Carrie, how much of an economic impact has this shutdown had on the cruise ship industry? What do we know about that?
Well, you got to remember that the cruise ships are not flagged in the United States. So when that federal relief money was given to businesses, the cruise ship industry did not get any. To give you an idea, Royal Caribbean, just in its first quarter, reported a $1.1 billion loss. And then, of course, you have portside losses as well. For instance, here in Miami, the busiest cruise port in the nation, it's been about a $10 to $12 million loss. So a lot of business folks are very excited about the return, as well as, of course, some vacationers who are looking forward to getting back out on the water as well, guys.
Love the hat, Carrie. Love the hat. Carrie Sanders there in Miami. Thank you so much.
He's ready.
Hey, thanks for...
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. FDA moves to ban methadone cigarettes within a year. Let's take a listen to that video from NBC News.
The Food and Drug Administration taking steps to ban menthol cigarettes and flavored cigars within the next year. Anti-smoking advocates say menthol masks the true taste of cigarettes and makes it easier to start smoking and harder to quit. The FDA says the move will help improve the health of the groups most likely to smoke menthol products, children and African Americans. That decision is expected, though, to face strong pushback from the tobacco industry.
Hey, thanks for watching.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. And we are going to switch gears now. And let's go into weather. Let's take a look at the weather for this evening across the United States. And here is a look at that weather for all of you for this evening across the United States. Over here in New Hampshire and near Boston, rain, rain, rain. And then down over here near Austin, Texas, there's some rain showers. And then the rest of the United States is dry. And that is a look at your weather across the United States for this Friday evening. And thank you for joining us for this Friday evening edition of the Riley King Newscast right here on the Riley King Network. Have a great rest of your Friday evening, and I'll see you back here tomorrow for another newscast. Good night and goodbye.